Actually, I went into history just as a kind of bridge measure. My undergraduate was actually in economics, and then I was late to apply for a master's program in economics. So the only thing I could do at that point was apply for history. So that's how I ended up in history. It was a very pleasant interlude, but I was, from quite early on, my plan was to do economics.
So it was planned early on.
As it happens, but certainly you can change your mind. Certainly it's not too late to change your mind. At the end of a bachelor's program, so you can certainly do that. So it's a good idea to explore a variety of options before settling down on something that you're really very interested in. And it's certainly not too late to start at the beginning of a master's. In fact, in the US, that's very common. You don't specialize in an intense way, as an undergraduate. You have quite a broad range of, I guess Ashoka does something similar at this point, right? It's a pretty broad-based education. So that gives you a chance to, explore really what you're passionate about, and where your relative skills are strongest and so on. Um, so yes, I think that there's both an advantage and a disadvantage. When you specialize too early, you can learn a lot more, but you really need to be clear about what it is you want to get into. So I wasn't actually, but in fact, when I went to as an undergraduate, I was interested in philosophy, but but I soon realized that that was going to be, not such a viable path in the long run. So it seemed to me. So I wanted to do something a little bit more practical. So that's the point at which I switched to economics. And I was always a little bit interested in the more formal aspects, so that meant microeconomic theory was a natural way to go. I think that's not necessarily an unhealthy trend. I think empirics and development economics are extremely important, and we probably need many more people doing those kinds of subjects than we need doing pure economic theory. So I don't think that's necessarily a bad trend. I don't think uh, a big fraction of an average class should be doing pure economic theory. In general, it could be that certain institutions are highly specialized in that, and then it's very natural for a lot of students to be attracted to those institutions but as an overall discipline, I think it's not such a bad thing that the fraction of people doing purely theoretical things as opposed to exploring the empirics and more applied things is biased in the applied direction. So I think what students are doing might simply reflect what the profession is demanding, and I think what the profession is demanding might not be such a bad thing either. So so I don't think it's an unhealthy trend. So I think it's great to study a lot of economic theory, and especially if you're at an institution uh, where economic theory is emphasized. That is the best that you can get out of that institution, and it makes a lot of sense to take maximal advantage of where you are. Uh, but any subject in economics you do, you will really benefit from a really strong grounding in economic theory. So, so it's a very good use of your time. Whatever you end up doing in the end, and And in the end, you might end up doing economic theory, in which case it's an extremely good use of your time. But even if you don't, I think a lot of the strong researchers in other areas are very comfortable, with economic theory concepts. In the end, what you can't do, most of the time you're not doing raw empirics. You're doing empirics within the context of different kinds of theories. And so having a fluid understanding of theories and being able to uh, adapt theories and understand new theories and new developments without feeling that oh my gosh, what is this new theory about, and so on, that is a very important skill. I think that intersection is very important, and I think it's going to grow. It's not something I have personally been working in, but I think it's a very important area, and I think it's definitely going to grow actually. And I think all these AI methods, machine learning methods, and so on are going to be very important in economics and possibly in economic theory also. So sometimes models are very, very complicated, and you might be able to understand a lot of how they work, using computational methods and machine learning methods and AI methods more generally. So that I think it'll become an important tool in all areas of economics actually.
Because that require kind of reinforcement learning models and all AI things.
That's correct. It's these are not things that I've worked on personally, and no, I would like to learn more about them. Maybe in my next lifetime, but I think you should certainly be put attention to these new methodologies. I don't think theory is ever going to be, is ever going to become useless or become redundant. But the relative weight of theory versus other methods might alter with the availability of other methods. But I don't think you can supplement frameworks of thinking about problems which you know, uh, are not just going to come out of the data. There might be things that come out of the data, and one should embrace those, and those would be useful. But that you can't do anything else. I mean, it just doesn't seem feasible at all. Yeah. Oh, it's very exciting. It's very exciting. I am having a great time actually. Uh, it's a wonderful campus. It's a little bit cold, but I think that's great because it keeps me awake. So I think it's fantastic, and I'm really enjoying meeting all the people, and the food's wonderful. Everyone's very friendly. It's fantastic.